Hey everyone, today in my Brother Voodoo history lesson, we're going to go over how Jericho Drumm became, at least for a little while, the Sorcerer Supreme. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos on Jericho Drumm and other comic book characters. Following his encounter with the Montagues, Brother Voodoo was contacted by the Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Strange. In spite of their recent differences over the Civil War, Jericho agreed to help Stephen with a task the Sorcerer had set about completing to restore balance to the universe, as things had been thrown into disarray by a mercenary named Deadpool. To restore order, they would have to reunite the body of a man named T-Ray with his immortal soul. Jericho used his magics to send Deadpool to a spiritual realm, and after a prolonged conflict with T-Ray on this alternate plane, the strange mercenary was able to reunite T-Ray with his soul. Jericho and Stephen talked after the men returned from the spiritual realm, and Stephen reassured his friend that helping Deadpool was for the best, even if the mercenary and his behavior were questionable. Jericho asked why involve Wade Wilson in these events at all, as it was well within the powers of the Sorcerer Supreme to set things right himself. But then he realized that Strange saw a potential in Deadpool and wanted to give the mouthy mercenary a chance to redeem himself. Drumm thus left both Deadpool and T-Ray with encouraging words and told them they could be great men if they worked together, while also revealing that they would be sharing a soul with one another as a result of their adventure in the spiritual plane. It was around this time that Earth suffered a cataclysmic infiltration by a group of shape-shifting aliens called Skrulls. Though only a fraction of the larger Skrull race, this group managed to impersonate many superheroes and key figures on Earth, including Brother Voodoo. A Skrull disguised as Jericho was sent to the advanced nation of Wakanda as a vanguard for the attack on the powerful country, a key part of the Skrull's plan for a larger direct invasion that was imminent. Using Jericho's status as a trusted member of Wakanda's forces, the Skrull was able to successfully enter the country under the auspices of healing two individuals who had recently been through a traumatic ordeal: Princess Shuri, sister to the Black Panther, and her companion Jamal. The Skrull disguised as Jericho quickly discovered that a cannibalistic spirit had come to possess Jamal. Not wanting to raise suspicions among Wakandan officials, the Skrull Brother Voodoo injected the cannibal with a lethal substance in an attempt to cover everything up and make it look like Jamal died from complications due to his earlier injuries. The cannibalistic spirit was able to survive this assault, however, and quickly realizing the nature of his attacker, pulled the alien spirit into the dying body of Jamal, in an attempt to force both of them to escape into the Skrull body so that they could survive. Rather than risk this cannibal possessing his body, the Skrull sacrificially fought back, and Jamal died with the minds of both malevolent beings in his head, killing all three in the process. The nature of Jericho's imposter was immediately discovered by Wakanda forces following this, yet it was too late for the nation of Wakanda to prevent a full-scale ground assault of Skrull forces shortly after this incident. This led to a prolonged battle, but none of this involved the real Brother Voodoo, as he was, as far as what is documented, completely uninvolved in this invasion. Shortly after the events of the Skrull attack, the real Jericho Drumm was contacted by those he knew in S.H.I.E.L.D. on behalf of three superheroes: Ms. Marvel, Moon Knight, and the Sentry, who needed help dealing with the Hulk. The troubled superhero had recently gone on a rampage in Las Vegas around this time, also transforming into a deadly monster called the Wendigo, along with an army of civilians, leading to widespread chaos in the city. Carol Danvers, also known as Ms. Marvel at the time, vouched for Jericho Drumm to her peers, though mentioned that S.H.I.E.L.D. only contacted him as they still weren't on good terms with Dr. Strange. Arriving in Vegas, Jericho quickly stabbed one of the Avengers, his old friend Moon Knight, and performed a spell to knock back the rampaging Wendigo Hulk and force his transformation back to Bruce Banner, while the other Wendigos were also turned back into humans. Without a word to the heroes, Brother Voodoo left, thoroughly impressing Mark Spector. Incidents such as this and others since working with S.H.I.E.L.D. demonstrated by this point that Jericho Drumm was considered a major player in the world of both mysticism and the superhero community. Brother Voodoo's powers and their scope, along with his fame and reputation, increased to levels he had not achieved or perhaps even imagined he could achieve before. When a powerful angel named Zadkiel waged war on heaven, Brother Voodoo was among dozens who could sense the being destroying the gates to the celestial paradise during the peak of the angel's strength and assault on reality. Fortunately, Jericho's old friend Danny Rand worked with other Ghost Riders, including Johnny Blaze, to banish the angel to hell, without Jericho's involvement. Still, Drumm's powers should not be underestimated by this point, and others had also taken notice. Additionally, like many superheroes that originally complied with the Superhuman Registration Act, Jericho had become disillusioned with Tony Stark, S.H.I.E.L.D., and the American government, especially with how they were dealing with superheroes and crime fighting by this time. And Drumm had ample reason to feel this way. Tony Stark did such a miserable job with the Skrull invasion he was ousted from power, and replaced by a longtime enemy of Spider-Man, a man named Norman Osborn. Working for somebody like Osborn, who immediately set about to transform S.H.I.E.L.D. into a more fascist organization called Hammer, proved extremely unattractive to Brother Voodoo. Instead, he returned to New Orleans and largely kept to himself. That all changed after Doctor Strange gave up the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme for a number of reasons. He did this after a series of what he came to believe were major personal failures as the leading magical guardian of Earth. First, Stephen was unable to prevent the mental breakdown of the Scarlet Witch at the hands of Doctor Doom, which badly affected both the Avengers and entire mutant population. The second was when Strange and a group of other powerful figures in the superhero community exiled Hulk off-planet for a time. Doctor Strange was very publicly confronted for his role in this exile by the Hulk when he returned to Earth, and was struggling to reconcile with what he viewed as a betrayal of his friend, Bruce Banner. The final failure was a complete personal breakdown of Doctor Strange after he was forced to use dark magics in order to protect the group of fugitive Avengers from a villain named the Hood and an army of supervillains. So Stephen gave up the mantle of the Sorcerer Supreme, and seizing on this opportunity, the Hood, now possessed by a demon, attempted to steal a powerful artifact called the Eye of Agamotto from Strange. This item would be needed to find the next Sorcerer Supreme, provoking the fugitive Avengers to seek out the person who would become the next Sorcerer Supreme at once. Using the eye, Stephen led the team to New Orleans, and they were quick to deduce it was likely Jericho the team was seeking out. On arriving to this city in a stolen Quinjet, the Eye then showed the Avengers all the possible candidates who might become the new Sorcerer Supreme, with Jericho Drumm among them, but far from the only one, before the artifact disappeared in front of a very confused team. They were then attacked by Madame Mask, a key ally to the Hood, while elsewhere in the city, Damon Hellstrom was assaulted by the Hood, in an attempt to eliminate one of the Sorcerer Supreme candidates. In the ensuing chaos, the Hood transformed into a powerful demonic form, and began to rampage through the streets of New Orleans. Meanwhile, the Sorcerer Supreme before Stephen, known as the Ancient One, contacted Jericho and Daniel through the Eye of Agamotto, and told both of them of the situation. The Ancient One said that the Eye of Agamotto considered over 30 candidates with magical powers, and it was Jericho who was not only most deserving, but most ready to take on the mantle at this time. Though Drumm was unsure about accepting this new role, he was encouraged by his brother's spirit, and Daniel promised to always be there for his brother, and thus, in the streets of New Orleans, the new Sorcerer Supreme appeared, ready to take on this new demonic threat. Working side by side with the Avengers, Jericho took on the demon with confidence and a deft skill. He, Strange, and Hellstrom were able to coordinate their efforts and trap the demon, and Stephen quickly came to recognize the one possessing the Hood was none other than Dormammu, one of the worst enemies Stephen's ever faced. Realizing the danger was far greater than Strange initially anticipated, Stephen gave pause, afraid to be facing such a powerful foe in this state. Yet in a show of his new powers and abilities, coupled with his, by this point, tremendous experience, Jericho Drumm was able to perform an exorcism spell that banished Dormammu from Earth and returned the Hood to his normal human form. As things calmed down, Stephen looked over the new Sorcerer Supreme and stated he was glad the Eye chose someone like Jericho to take his place, and offered to train his friend. However, Damon warned Jericho that for someone like Dormammu to be able to break into Earth through a host as weak as the Hood meant that something terrible was happening in the mystic world. As the new Sorcerer Supreme, Jericho Drumm already had his work cut out for him. With that, we'll talk about Jericho Drumm's new role as the Sorcerer Supreme and what he did following this next time on Comic Island. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you then.